Hello and welcome to another beautiful episode of Softline. I am Nancy Vanigo and I have with me today Eddie Young. Hey, Young.
It's a lovely Tuesday. It's a lovely day.
I know, you enjoy it.
So for you to roll the bell for me.
Okay,
so thank
it's
you,
gonna be a
Nancy.
great day.
Yeah, I can see. Thank you, Nancy. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I hope you're catching the vibes and you're staying as excited and positive as we are. That's because we're always excited knowing you're out there watching us.
Absolutely.
Today won't be different. Trust us, so just be there.
Absolutely. So, Eddie, how far? How far with the kneeling down trend? Kneeling down to propose.
How far with life? How far with trends?
Oh my goodness.
We have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. To talk about the Hilda Bassi Guinness World Record.
Exactly.
But I think we should leave Hilda Bassi today. Let's talk about this kneeling down to propose because it's becoming something else. My husband did not kneel down to propose to me.
So are you envying those?
No.
Are you envying those that are kneeling down to propose?
No, I'm not envious. So. But seriously, I'm not. I don't fancy it.
You don't fancy it?
No, I don't fancy it. But this generation, it seems to be a big deal for them. As in, why would the girl reject a proposal just because the guy is not kneeling down to propose to her? You know. So what's the big deal about kneeling down?
So you see, there are different perspectives to this. And for me, I narrow it down to individual differences.
Okay.
What you like, what you want, you know. So she's not totally wrong, and the guy is not also wrong.
Okay.
It's both their personal perception and ideology and what they feel they want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll come from this angle first. The girls rejecting the proposal because the guy didn't kneel. I don't actually know the girl's mindset. If she's doing this because it's a trend and she sees people do it, and she probably would have been dreaming that way she's going to be engaged. So you see, you need to actually take that into
perspective.
Take that into consideration.
Okay.
It could have been one of her nightmares, her fantasies, her dream that when a guy is proposing to her, the guy will kneel to propose. And this is a proposal turned bad for me.
But wait, I think, well, sometimes it could be surprise. You know, she didn't know the guy was actually going to propose to her. It could be a surprise. If not, they would have planned it. You know, oh, the day you're going to propose to me, you should make sure you're kneeling.
It may not be planned, but maybe in the course of their discussion, she would have been saying those kind of things. This is what I like, you know.
And if the guy is out to make the girl happy on that day, a special day for her, they should go all out. If she has been saying she likes it.
Honestly, I don't know. So for the guy, you know, it also has to do with what he believes in. He could also be ego.
Of course.
Like, how can I kneel down to propose?
Who are you?
I'm going to foot the bills. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
No,
so
talking about bill, you know, kneeling down to propose is not our culture. This is an European culture.
I agree with you.
And then, if we must follow this culture, let us also follow in full what comes with this kneeling. Because they're in Europe, where a bride price, the groom doesn't pay. The groom's, the bride's family foots the bill for the wedding. Yeah. So if the guy should kneel down to propose, when it comes to wedding and everything, the girl's family should also do the needful. That is when we copy the culture.
No, they do it in a traditional way now.
Which tradition?
It's the bride's family.
No. If you must copy tradition borrow in full. So you don't. I don't kneel down to.
There are a lot of things.
Wait, now listen. Now I don't kneel down to propose to you, and then I'll be the one to foot the whole wedding thing and everything. No. So.
So you see, like, trust me, different. Like I said, different perspectives. Different opinions. And so the guy also, when you talk about borrowing, there are a lot of things we have borrowed from. When are we going to stop? Is it in our dressing? Do you get it? So borrowing, it's okay. But my own is always, what's the idea behind this? Why are you doing this? So, but for both of them, like I said, the guy is right. He doesn't want to kneel. The girl is also right because she wants, that's her dream, like, and it could be painful that, no, honestly, we might say, we can generally say, let's try to imbibe our own culture rather than keep promoting what is the foreign culture, what's not, what I'll term foreign, what's not us. But then,
you know, I like that this happened so that we can talk about it, because it's becoming a very big trend for young people, everybody wants that fairy tale kind of thing. Yeah, kneel down to propose. Okay, so
decorate a room, balloons, flowers,
we see this every day where guys, I think they hustle a whole lot to do this proposal thing, because you take a few friends out, sponsor the whole thing. So it's like this proposal itself, it's a very expensive venture. You understand what I'm trying to say? So people are like, oh, so everybody is doing this thing, I have to do it. So it's becoming a big trend. So I'm glad we are talking about it. So it is not our culture.
No, it's not. I know.
It is not our culture.
So for me, so there is more to it in my own perspective.
Okay.
So I would have seen two people coming together. Then from the onset, they seem to buy the idea of marriage, where you see that two different people with different upbringing are coming together to surrender. So if peradventure this happened, and then the girl now said, okay, no problem, and the guy also adjusted, I don't know, that would show that, okay, there is a hope for them that they can pull through this relationship successfully.
Okay. And
putting in mind that you need to adjust.
Okay. All right, that's it. But Eddie said something about it's okay to borrow culture. Well, in my opinion, it's not okay. I don't think it's okay to borrow culture. I think it is okay to be.
There are so many cultures
we borrowed, and there is time we start unlearning this culture.
Exactly.
We don't need it. We don't need these cultures. They put us in so much pressure. People get so tense. It's enough that people have so much to deal with when it comes to wedding. When you collect wedding list and see what is on that wedding list for guys, I mean, that's enough tension. We don't need all this kneel down, buy diamond ring for proposal, do all those things.
Because they didn't do it for
No,
you.
not be like that. So
How
it is
did
not
they
like
propose
that. I saw a beautiful flower in your house, so I have come with my kingsman to marry. We're going to a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll dive into our discussion for the day. So we'll also be right back. Thanks for tuning in. So today, we are talking about parenthood. And when we talk about parenthood, we often focus on the mom's experience, the joy, the challenges, the sleepless nights. But what about the dads? How do they navigate the complexity of fatherhood? How do they balance the pressure, to protect, and to be a role model, all while managing their own emotions and mental well-being? Well, today we are going to explore the often overlooked world of fatherhood and mental health, and why it is essential we start talking about it more openly. All right, so let's dive in and break the silence around this critical issue. And to do this discussion with us today is Mr. Udeme Okono. He's a physiotherapist, right? Or psychotherapist. You're welcome to the show, Mr. Udeme.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Udeme.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Udeme, sorry to ask, but are you a father?
Yes, absolutely. I have a 7-year-old.
Perfect. So perfect. So this discussion will hit the target, right?
I love to think so too.
Yeah. So when we talk about fatherhood and mental health, people tend to say, mental health with fatherhood. So could you just tell us some of those common, mental issues surrounding new fathers? Let's start with new fathers.
Well, thank you.
So take your mind back to when you became a new father.
It's quite some kind of introspection. Fathers, immediately after birth, that's what we now call postnatal phase. It's usually a tough call. However, men are supposed to be strong, So fathers are expected to be very joyful, very happy that they have a newborn in their lives. And at any point in time where this does not come off like that, it feels like, is he not happy that he has a child? What is going on? Is he unhappy? Is this something, even though there was something his wife did, why can't he? So it is mostly about trying to find out why he is not fitting into the mold of the expected expression at the point of childbirth. So there are societal expectations. Everyone has templates as to what it is supposed to be, how the father is supposed to express his emotions and feelings and all of that. So, but again, it's a mix of a beautiful experience and a challenging one at that too, because it's going to be a sharp migration from being a man of your own, possibly just being you and your beautiful wife. You know, maybe you just got married and then 1 year later, a new person comes into the family. So while the joy happens, while we are all very excited about the addition and we are thanking God for the gift of a child, there is a lot of struggling that is going to happen.
Okay.
For one, statistics have shown and recent studies have shown that 1 in 10 men would go through postnatal depression. Yes, there are recent studies even within Africa that points to the fact that, I mean, this could be largely underreported because who is even researching on this, okay? So the figures, there is a possibility that the population, the sample size was not sufficient to generalize. And so you'd have to come to the barest, you know, meaningful minimum so that it doesn't seem like you're exaggerating these things. And so the lack of data is a big deal when we're having this conversation. So a lot of men, like I have said, research has shown that 1 in 10. So it could be 2, it could be 3.
It could be more.
It could be more. But since we don't speculate, so we'll stick to what we have had as research study. So 1 in 10 have had to experience postnatal depression. That means that they have had to deal with a lot of mental health challenges around their mood, around the way they feel, the way they think, the way they perceive the environment, the presence of a new person in their home. And this is persistent between the first month of birth to about 6 months. You know, so for some people, for up to 15% of such people who experience these things, it extends to 6 months, while the other ones could terminate at 3. Now, I think I would like to put it that it is more of trying to find meaning, understanding what this implies, what this means. And beyond postnatal depression, there is anxiety there. And this anxiety could be as a result of parental issues. For instance, it could have to do with something around asking the question of, will I be able to take care of this person? Am I able to provide enough? So it could, you know, have a handful of things that have to do with perception, about thinking about the unknown, the fear of the unknown. Am I sure I'm going to be a good father? When is it too much? When is it too little? So there is a lot of confusion here and there. So there is stress, and then there could be post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes. You know, post-traumatic stress disorder is a really big grammar, but in this context, it would have to do with, it's mostly about experiencing or witnessing a traumatic or a life-threatening event. So imagine a father who saw that the wife practically gave birth by the grace of God. You know, it could have been a tough call. It may have been a really serious struggle. It may have been a situation where what road safety would now call near misses. Like near misses would be that you're almost in an accident and then it didn't happen. So it could be that this person was at the verge of death. And then how about fathers who witnessed the death of their wives and then the baby remains? Nobody really cares. We just sympathize. Hey, yeah, he lost his wife. So it goes beyond it has some kind of ripple effect. These experiences, these encounters, the fact that there are societal expectations and gender expectations here and there. So will I be able to fit into this mold? So a lot of these things happen, from postnatal depression to post-traumatic stress disorders to anxiety to stress. The list is quite detailed.
Wow, I feel so bad.
you know, listening to him made me feel that the fact that we haven't looked at fathers, like you said in the intro, the looking at motherhood has been overrated.
I'm telling you.
So fatherhood needs to be looked into.
We should bring it to the front border now.
Exactly. So talking about the depression part of it, you know, so I would like to, since you're here, and then you also said something about statistics. We really don't have it. So now I'll just narrow it down to you and how how prepared were you for fatherhood? Because I think a lot of men don't also prepare for fatherhood,
and then they're just
exactly it comes to them, and then you have all this ripple effect things we are talking about.
Especially in African context, you know, where they bring up a man saying, you are just the Alpha and Omega, you don't have a problem. All you need to do is sit down and watch your wife do the whole magic.
Yeah.
So when it comes to them, it's like they are not prepared. They were not trained for it.
You know, like I tell my wife sometimes, I tell her that I've not been married before. I've not been a father before. So it's usually, I'm not sure there are schools that have had to train fathers on how to be fathers. And even if there were, there is only so much that you can learn. Parenting is, it's some kind of trial and error. Nobody has it all figured out. No, nobody has it all figured out. You asked a very, very interesting question. Was I prepared for fatherhood? I can bet you that it could be a yes and it could be a no. You would think that you were really prepared. You would have done all the things that you needed to do. You would have provided the things that you needed to provide in the home front. You made the home very beautiful, prepared stuff. And then after the childbirth, they're expected to come home. And then attention begins to deplete. Things begin to happen. Everybody's focused on the newborn. And this actually affects a lot of new marriages.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you just got married and then another person joins, your child notwithstanding, but it's another person. Because originally you would want to really have fun and have time with your spouse. Because it comes with its own inconveniences too. For instance, your sleep is going to be distorted very significantly. The things that you would like to do and the places you would like to go, you would limit because you need to be there. The newborn is really fragile, and so everybody needs to, all hands must be on deck. So you must sacrifice a lot of things to ensure that you're here. Notwithstanding that you're doing all of this, you could still feel like you're not doing enough. So yes, I do not think in its real sense that anybody can lay claims to the fact that he was 100% ready for fatherhood. There is only so much that you could do. There is only so much preparation that you could put into it. But you, like they would say in telecoms, spare as you go. so you would learn in the process, like they would say, you're gonna learn in the process.
Not the hard way, though.
No, not the hard way. So there is a lot of learning that happens. It's actually a school in itself. And notwithstanding how many years you've invested in it,
there is always something to learn.
Every child comes with his own peculiarity.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so even if you've had 2, 3, you would hear parents say, oh, the other 2 didn't stress me like this. So individual differences are there.
All right, you know, so, 2 weeks ago, I think, on the daily, I think, Punch newspaper, I saw an article a father wrote. And after reading that story, I felt so, you know, I felt like, this is an aspect of life we've been neglecting. And that was when I thought about this topic, you know. And this man wrote that he took his kids to go shopping for school, you know, school shopping and all that, which is one aspect of fatherhood that so many people, you know, when the school return, how they call it, back to school period. So he was in the mall shopping for his children. And he came across something he really loved to have, but he could not. He just picked it up and looked at it and then dropped it back.
Yeah.
And then his child was there watching him. And then the child was like, Dad, why you used to like this? Have it now. Him knowing that his pocket is not, so he just, no, don't worry, you know. And the girl was like, she actually told him to pick it. She was going to pay.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she actually paid from her pocket. She actually picked it for the dad. So, but he now said, he now realized that so many things he used to do as a single man, you know, so many things he could do for himself, he doesn't do those things anymore. Nobody even cares to know what he likes or what he doesn't like anymore. It's all attention on the wife or the children, you know. So that now brings back memories of my dad. But let's not talk about my dad in this case now. But many fathers are like that. They seem to have forgotten how to live just because of the, you know, taking care of families. So my question now is, how can we, as partners, as families, you know, help fathers when we talk about mental health?
very, very beautiful and touching scenario you painted there. It spoke to me too, because I think that there is a lot of sacrificing that happens when you become a father.
A whole lot.
And I think it's even more instructive that we're having this conversation now. This is September. The children just resumed yesterday for most of us, and virtue had to leave our bodies. You know, so I would share with some friends the other time, and I said, I went to, you know, sometimes you want to shop for yourself, and then you begin to feel guilty that these monies you want to use in shopping for yourself would have solved so problems for the children, for the wife, and the home. And so one of such times, you know, I saw a very sleek shoe I would have wanted to buy. In short, it wasn't one, two of them. You know, I love shoes. So I pick up one. I wanted to buy it both.
Okay.
And so, but midway, not because I could not afford to buy, but it just felt like I was going to be insensitive buying the two of them, knowing that I had some other things that needed to be done. So it's a huge burden, and you know, you are not able to help when you do not exactly understand the core. So what are even these? What are the things that cause these mental health concerns and all these restrictions? One of which is poverty and the lack of financial safety or security. The scenario you pointed to a child who could afford to buy for the father. What of the fathers that can't even afford to buy for themselves, and then the children are not working yet? So there is intense pressure for them. It may not even be, you know, imposed by anyone. It could just be the sense of being a responsible father, trying to think ahead. So for people who are single, people, whatever projections they make is about themselves, and so they can plan for, they can get up and engage in impulsive activities, travel out, do this, do the other ones. But when you become a father, you are going to have to think through three lenses. First, for the family, and then for the individual children, and then before you consider yourself. So when people understand that poverty is a really serious challenge that fathers face, and job security, there is another, I think that's in a recent study that was done in East Africa and then some parts of West Africa, we discovered that poverty and the lack of financial safety was top ranking in the major cause of the mental health challenges that fathers have. It was, there were other factors such as unemployment and underemployment. There could be issues around parental issues like the lack of parenting alliance. So the father thinks that this is the best approach to parenting, and then the mother thinks that it shouldn't be. You are too strict on the children. You are too hard on them. And then the mother is the other one that is, you know, so sometimes there is this friction that happens. The children could begin to feel that mommy loves them the more. And so at some point, the father begins to feel like, maybe I'm doing too much. When is it too much? When is it too little? And then when these behaviors, when you have done so much, and then this child goes out there and still does something, and then you think that you begin to blame yourself. The right thing to have been done would be to address the behavior. But the fathers most times will sit back and cast the blame on themselves. I think I didn't do enough. No, I didn't do enough. But we forget that there are other factors that influence the way our children behave and the way they respond to situations. And behaviors they pick along the way in school, it could be in church, among their friends. So it is not entirely heaped on you. It is not you. It may not always be you. And so the lack of these parental alliances, and then marital conflict. When the home is not stable, there is only so much that can happen, that can be invested into parenting. So the other partner could be parenting, could be doing a little too hard, just so he puts it to this other one that you're not doing enough, you're not doing well. You're just sitting there, and the children, they're supposed to resume at school tomorrow, and you didn't think about washing their uniforms. And possibly sometimes it could be that the man is thinking of how to raise his school fee. At the home front, the mother is also thinking he's supposed to buy school bags, supposed to buy lunch bags, supposed to pay for lesson, bus, and all of that. Now, it is a huge burden. And so when we understand some of these situations, when we understand the contributing factors, that is when we can begin to see a way to help. And so one of the ways that we can assist fathers is to create that safe space for them to actually feel that they can be heard. Yes, everybody talks, and then when it comes to fathers, they're just supposed to show walking. You know, so when you talk too much in a society, when you try to explain in a society, they're saying you're talking too much, you're talking like a woman. Why are you doing they're supposed to just show working, yes. When they bring the bills, they're supposed to say, okay, yes, savings or current. It's just supposed to be that simple. It shouldn't be, no, we should drop this particular mug because we can't afford it today. Can we do it next week? And then when it feels like you are not fitting into the mold, like you knew you were going to be a father, so what's all this? Do you understand? So we need to really create those safe spaces. The home is not supposed to be like a battlefront for the fathers. They're supposed to feel like they are a part of this home. You know how the fathers pay bills, parents, and then it feels like they're an outsider in their own home. It feels like that for a lot of them. And so we must create those safe spaces for fathers to feel that they are appreciated. What they are doing is seen. Yes, it is their responsibility. We speak about reward and punishment. We speak about reinforcement. And I tell people in the workplace, if every time a worker does something bad, we lash out at them. And then when they do something right, we say, they are doing their responsibility. Now it's their job.
It's a normal thing.
Before you know, morale will drop. It is going to affect overall output. And so we must begin to see how to encourage fathers. We need to continue. We need to reinforce the fact that we see you. We see that you are making this effort. Thank you so much for doing this. And by the time you would see that they feel a bit, because the things that they worry about, when, you know, I share jokingly, but it is a profound thought. And it is a statement of fact. When a man sits quietly, if there is a woman in his life, it could feel like there's something she has done wrong, or there's something that he's planning. Sometimes the man just wants to be in his world. He's just trying to think through things. He could be thinking into 3 years. It could be thinking into the next 6 months. But all I'm like, why are you quiet? Why are you not talking to me? Talk to me. And all of those things.
All right.
It is real.
All right. He has hit. I'm sure you've hit it.
Let's just go on a break.
We'll go on a quick break. We're so carried away. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back after this very short break. Stay with us. All right, thanks for being there. So we still have Mr. Udeme in the house, and we're discussing fatherhood and mental health. But before we go ahead with our discussion, let's take some few tweets. And we'll have the first tweet here. So the father's role isn't just to provide. He guides, disciplines, and sets standards. Without that, children grow up angry, lost, and self-destructive. A mother can try, but she cannot teach a boy how to be a man. The cycle of brokenness is only getting worse. A mother can try, but she cannot teach a boy how to be a man. Anyway, let's go on. When my father reassures me in life's trouble, surpasses any kind of other reassurance. An experienced man reassuring another man is just one of the best things for a man's mental health. How true? Okay, we have this one from Christian, and he says, the health of the family comes down to the health of the father. Mentally, I guess that's what he wanted to write. Physically and emotionally weak fathers create unhealthy and fragile families. And our last tweet here today says, to all fathers out there, your mental health creates a ripple effect in your family, whether you realize it or not. Find time to focus on your inner self, and everyone else around you will benefit from it. Be blessed, kings. Okay. Nice one.
Exactly.
All right, so Eddie,
I think the last tweet takes us to that question about a man taking care of his mental health, and so I talked about going back from your last, I told a lot of takeaways from what you said just before we went on break. And I'm asking, you said we should create safe spaces for men, so I'm asking, how about the men who are so rigid, so uptight, and not
So
allowing,
closed.
they don't allow people come into their safe space?
It's actually a tough call, okay? Because for one, society has socialized the male child to not ask for help. Okay, so from an early stage, you were socialized to understand that you're supposed to be stoic, you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be tough, you're supposed to not be broken, you're not supposed to be seen crying or even showing any form of vulnerability.
But is that really what it should be?
No, definitely. The answer is obvious. It's not supposed to be so. But societal expectations, which is a huge issue when it comes to men's mental health. The highest, when you look at suicide statistics, we have, I think, every 60 seconds a man dies by suicide globally. There are a lot of other people, women, who ideate, who don't find the courage to. But the men, because when you bottle up emotions, it has a way of coming out to affect you. So suppressed impulses, it could be from childhood. If you see statistics and figures and studies about male rape cases, you'll be alarmed. But they are not largely reported. So imagine a child who experienced some kind of trauma growing up, could not find answers to it, due to shame and societal stigma, could not also speak to somebody. So it gets to affect the next person. And so we are going to sit down and complain, why is he not opening himself to people to come in? I see in therapy that when clients come in, you don't need to tell, they won't just begin to open up to you. You are going to have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are open to listening to them without judging, and that whatever they share with you is sacred and will be held in confidence. These days, the few men who have had the courage to speak up are shamed. The few men who have had the courage to speak with their significant other about their past. When the going is not going well in the home, it is used against them. So come on, you want them to open up to you. You want him to feel safe. But the last thing that he shared with you that maybe had been like a litmus test, let me just chip in a bit and see how she responds to this. And then 2 days later, you guys had a fight. And then that's it. That's how your father used to do. That's how they do in your village. And so he feels ashamed because it was not a sweet memory. It was not something beautiful, but he had to confide in you. And so when I spoke about creating safe spaces, it was not just about mouthing safe spaces. It was about deliberately taking whatever information they give to you or that you're able to get in the process of interaction as something that is sacred, as a dark side of their lives that should not be thrown carelessly around. And so how do you help someone if consistently you are showing him that whatever else you share with me, I can't guarantee you. No. I can only, empathize with you at the moment. Hey, yeah, you went through all of that. And then next week we have a small fight. That's how you people behave in your village. That's how your father used to do. That's how your mother did. Yes, that's how you used to behave. So we need to, it is not just about spouses. It is not just about within the home. The men themselves need to create support groups for themselves.
I agree.
The men need to speak to themselves.
Exactly.
Look, men mask all of their mental health problems and challenges in very maladaptive approaches and behaviors. It could go all the way down to substance misuse, alcohol use, and all of that. And alcohol and all of these substances could numb the feeling for a bit. Yeah. But it would come with grave consequences on the long haul. And so because they can't share, and then when men sit together, all they want to do is to discuss football. Because who is going to break the ice? Who is going to talk about his wife? And then you talk about your wife, and then you are the bad people. That guy is family. His wife is so bad. And so
men are even the problem.
Everybody is a problem. Everybody is a problem. It is the fact that we do not have sufficient awareness. People need to understand that. I'll share an example. I think last month or so we had men's of Father's Day, or I think it was Father's Day in our church. And then we had a panel discussion, conversations went on, but I noticed that everybody was just guiding. Everybody was so conscious, they could not share. So at the end of church service, I initiated, come on guys, let's sit out somewhere. So we went somewhere. Some of our wives wanted to come, and then we begged them to go home, that we'll see them at home. So when the men sat, the conversations that came up, the dark things that people are going through, the challenges that they're experiencing, and as they were sharing, other people were also suggesting, yeah, I've experienced this. This is what I did. So this was not a really coordinated support group, but a few moments of conversations. People had answers to questions. People had more healthy ways of handling situations within the home because they felt safe. We threw the grounds open, like, guys, we broke the ice, and conversations happened for 2-3 hours. Just men addressing men issues. And I bet you that these days, I think recently, some of them said, guys, we should hang out again. And it makes sense to me.
But I'm sure
the
wives would kick against this.
Yes,
because many women do kick against such gatherings. Yes,
it is also maybe because of the quality of conversations that some men have when they gather. Because there are some gatherings that you have, there are some friendships that you keep, and then the impact of it on your home is on the negative. So I believe that there are genuine concerns too about why they do not want some of their husbands. But I mean, they're adults. They were going to go out, whether they were married to you or not. So somehow, it is for them to be able to find great company, safe spaces, supportive groups, people who understand the sacredness or the sanctity of such fellowships. It may not be very coordinated, it may not be very corporate, and it could just be social conversations, but it would bring a lot of value. So yes, safe spaces are very, very, very important at work, in church, at home, in local communities. There were times when these things used to happen. And then let me chip in that parenting, fatherhood, parenting in general used to be a community thing, used to be a communal thing.
We miss those days.
My aunties, our neighbors could spank you and drag you home and then report you for something you did. But these days it can't happen. And then the child does something like, that's their family problem. But unfortunately, it gets to affect all of us. It may not be you, but it could affect your child in school.
Absolutely.
A child that was not properly groomed. So all of these things, it's a big deal. It's while we like to speak about fathers, I think that generally we should speak about, on a broader scale of parenting. It's a big deal. Not necessarily isolating the fathers. While the fathers have their struggles, but I think that the greater portion of all of their struggles is about how they can be good parents, how they can be good fathers to their children, how they can be good husbands to their wives. Sometimes when they have challenges, it feels like they are failing in their marriages. For one, when I got married earlier, and then we had a misunderstanding, we just have a bit of misunderstanding here. I was so scared because it felt like our marriage was about to crash.
Is this it?
Yes, it felt that way because I had never seen my parents have a quarrel. I'd never seen them quarrel or even talk back at each other. I'd never experienced it. So my parents' marriage always felt like the ideal model. I didn't know. By the time I spoke, my dad is like, man, we speak at night about these things. But their ability to manage it and not insert us into those issues was a big deal. So by the time I got to learn this, I knew that, okay, it means that everybody is trying to work things out. It's like, the Bible saying, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Everybody's working it out. Nobody has it all figured out.
At all.
So those are some of the few thoughts.
All right, so before we talk about the big one, which is paternity fraud, in recent days, we've had a whole lot of paternity fraud of how fathers can deal with that. But then I would like to know some of those things, like you mentioned about building a safe space with, like minds, either in church or, brotherhoods, whatever. what are other practices, safe practices that fathers could indulge, to
help
help with mental health?
Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Fathers need to involve themselves in self-care. They must be very deliberate about themselves. I spoke about how I felt guilty trying to get something for myself. I had a conversation with a friend who is also married, and he told me, look, there are some days you are going to have to seem like you're selfish. Take care of yourself. And I had a conversation with other colleagues who said, when you're married, try and shop your clothes. Buy for like 2 years, because by the time another person comes into the family, you could be walking around like somebody who is not normal. Because so it's a huge responsibility. So fathers need to prioritize themselves. Prioritizing yourself. Self-care does not mean being selfish. And if anybody portrays or tries or decides to interpret taking care of yourself as being selfish, then that is not your problem. So you must ensure that you prioritize yourself, because should you pass on today, they would cry for a few days, maybe a few months, drop flowers at the tomb every other year, but you are gone. And so fathers need to prioritize, look at self-care. They must indulge in healthy habits, eat healthy, do exercises, go on walks occasionally, engage meaningful conversations, do the things that you really would love to do, things you used to love to do. Go out with the child, sit down with your children, bond with them, play with them. Because also engaging them, the curiosity of their mind and the fact that they are going to ask you, my son would ask you 1 million questions in 2 minutes. Irrespective of where you are per time, he does not care. When he needs an answer, he will ask you. And the fact that he can distract you at that moment, it could be that you were in your thoughts. But this engagement with the children and the conversations that happen, a few seconds of sanity could help you reframe yourself and restructure. So find a good community of people who are forward thinking. And I believe that with time too, government regulations concerning fathers could also come in. Recently, we started advocating for paternity leave. Paternity leave. So that fathers could at least have 3 months. When we give women maternity leave and then the fathers are working, who really takes care of the person at home? Who takes care of the mother? And when does the father have the time to bond with the children? He goes out to work, he's burnt out, he's exhausted, comes out. He could result to irritability. It could distance him from the children, could distance him from the newborn, and even the wife. And so the man goes out there, he's burnt out, comes back, and this paternity leave should be paid leave. It's not that you just say, oh, they're advocating for leave, you now give them leave without pay. They should be payments. And in other places out there in the West, fathers have up to 6 months paid leave. Some of them get bonuses, have check-ins every other time. So the frameworks must begin to see how to cater to the needs of fathers. Also, these things will help. Fathers must learn. It is important to prioritize yourself. I can't overstate this. Prioritize yourself.
I agree.
Prioritize yourself. We have just 5 minutes. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the paternity fraud that has been, going on. The statistics quite alarming. So how would a father who finds himself, and I know somehow these statistics are beginning to create some doubt in a whole lot of men's mind, even if they don't say it. So how should fathers navigate this paternity fraud thing?
I think that it is difficult to sit down. I think it's easy to sit down and dish out, advisements to people about how to manage paternity fraud. It's a very dangerous slope. And it is mostly about, I don't know what we can say to actually teach someone how to respond in such a case. However, taking laws into your hands maybe it could give you some kind of relief. Temporarily, but it will plunge you into a lot of other problems. It's difficult to really advise anybody in that situation. Thinking of it alone is something that's really alarming, because imagine that you've invested a meaningful part of your life in the life of someone. If you were told that this was an adopted child, it would be different.
It's a different ballgame. Yeah.
Your mindset would have been ready. You would have prepared for it. You would know that this is my son. But you know that like it wasn't through the traditional means. Yes, this is my child. But when you must have been made to believe that this is your blood, you now begin to think of how many other lies that you have been living on. This something that you're even calling marriage, is it even true? Could it be that this other person has 3 other husbands somewhere? So there is a lot that could happen to a person's mind at that point. And so we cannot sit down here to regulate those emotions that could fly out. But one thing that we must ensure is that we do not take laws into our hands. If we ever, I pray for every man that they never encounter it. But in the case where such a thing ever gets to happen, and we should put up regulations to ensure speedy sanctions. Because when consequences...
What kind of sanctions now?
Sanctions, you ask? If somebody steals, what do they do to the person?
Okay, so
there must be consequences for actions, because one of the problems that we have, why we have the kind of system that we have in our country, is that we do not tie consequences to actions. There are no immediate consequences. When 1, 2, 3, 4 persons, that was the same thing. A similar thing used to happen with these whole false rape claims.
okay.
But when advocacies began, and then we said, if there is a false rape claim and then it is clarified that it was wrong, you go to jail. So when these consequences are there, it will serve as a deterrent. We should not even bother about how the men react. We should bother about why whoever it was put them in the position at first. So these are some of the things that we need to address. They should not be put in that position to now try to panel beat to manage, oh, you need to behave like this. No, we should at first not even put them in that position. If it is a marriage, it means that both of us have agreed to stay together and to be true to each other. If we've had certain issues in the past or we've had issues, communicate it. The worst that will happen is that the marriage will come to an end and both parties will be hurt and then they would move on. But living a lie is very cruel, is very inhumane of anyone to do to another person. That's what I would say. I can't sit here to school any man who has ever experienced or encountered that, or who would be experiencing it, which I wish it never happens to any of them.
Unfortunately, we have lots and lots of these cases. Oh, goodness. I think we have to have a very special section for fatherhood fraud, paternity fraud.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, Eddie, do you have a final question for him before we wrap up this?
Just maybe his take home, like, what could be your final words to people watching?
My final words would be that self-care does not always equate selfish. So as fathers, while we're trying to fit into, societal expectations of, providing, being the author and finisher of the faith and every other thing, we must ensure that we are doing fine ourselves. Because whatever we do not take care of, when we suppress emotions and then we are not able to deal with them, process them successfully, it takes a toll on our children, takes a toll on our family and the general tempo of the home. Because when you are not able to deal with some of these issues and then you suppress them, it could begin to lead to issues like irritability, and then you could begin to despise your partner, and then you would have other ripple effects. So we must ensure that we prioritize ourselves, take care of ourselves, do exercises, meet people and all of that.
And
Thank you so much.
Before you take the closing note, I would also say, women, let's let our men breathe. Let's create safe spaces for them. And for the men, truly encourage self-love.
All right.
Practice it.
As we wrap up today's conversation on fathers' mental health, let's remember that being a good dad isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, being honest, and being willing to ask for help when needed. So to all that out there, thank you for being brave enough to take care of your mental health. And to everyone else, let's do our part to support them. Oh, goodness, as we go, this technique.